Well, it is Saturday, the 9th of September, and our main story this morning is the strong earthquake which has hit central Morocco, killing more than 630 people and leaving hundreds more injured, according to state TV.
Yes, what we know is it struck at 11 o'clock last night, and the quake's epicenter was in the high Atlas Mountains, south of the city of Marrakesh. Many of the deaths are believed to be in hard-to-reach mountain areas, as Charlotte Winfield reports.
Streets filled with rubble and destruction. The earthquake struck central Morocco shortly after 11 p.m. on Friday, with an aftershock less than 20 minutes later. The quake's epicenter is in a remote area of the high Atlas Mountains, but tremors are said to have been felt in the capital, Rabat, more than 200 miles away. There's reports that buildings in Marrakesh's old city have been destroyed, and one family was trapped in the rubble of a collapsed house. Many people are now said to be staying outside their homes in case the city is rocked by further powerful aftershocks. One man described feeling a violent tremor and seeing buildings moving, whilst another told reporters that people were in shock and panic. Holidaymakers in Marrakesh described feelings of terror as the earthquake hit.
The room just started going mental and shaking. I think at first it felt like, I don't know, it felt like there was like someone like hoovering like the walls in the room next to us. And then we thought maybe it's like a massive helicopter. I think your brain doesn't register straight away like what's happening until like the picture frames are shaking and the bed's shaking and everything else in between.
It's feared the death toll will continue to rise as some of the worst affected areas are in remote mountain villages that are difficult to reach. Charlotte Winfield, BBC News.
Well, we're joined now by journalist Martin Jay, who's in Amiz, which is close to the earthquake's epicenter. Good morning to you, Martin, and thank you for speaking to us. What do you know about the level of damage? We're clearly hearing very worrying reports this morning.
Yeah, very worrying indeed, and a very, very sad day for Moroccans. Moroccan people were really not ready for this at all. They've never had anything quite like this in terms of natural disasters, and you have really an entire nation in shock. The reports of 600 dead are probably well under. I would imagine there'll be a lot more than that by the time we get to the end of the day, because most of this data is coming in from the cities, particularly Marrakesh, where there was a lot of buildings collapsing, including a mosque. But in reality, the real deaths will be in the countryside where I am. Just a couple of hours ago, I saw an army helicopter hovering above me, slowly cruising around the mountainside, looking for tiny little local houses that have collapsed on people.
As you say, a remote area, so presumably it's hard at the moment to get a handle on how much damage there is outside of the cities.
I think so. I think Charlotte's report, I mean, she made the point that this is going to be the tougher challenge, is today and tomorrow and the coming days to put into motion all of Morocco's state infrastructure, army, police and gendarmerie, to actually get into those areas and to help people. There's a few social media clips of Moroccans being very angry in these villages and begging for help, but I think the resources are just stretched to the maximum. So we'll have to see by the end of the day what the real figures are.
You mentioned, Martin, that Morocco isn't necessarily a place that's used to earthquakes, so will the infrastructure be there to cope with the aftermath?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We saw during the COVID pandemic that the King really pulled out all the stops and created a number of temporary hospitals, big ones, almost overnight. So I think the possibilities are there to throw the lever and to create centres, places where people can sleep, get a meal and medical help. But at the moment, we just don't know what the situation is. The public health sector in Morocco is quite poor, pretty much under invested in. So we'll see if those extra resources will have to be rolled out during today and tomorrow.
OK, for the moment, Martin, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us there from Amiz, that's close to the earthquake's epicenter. I know we've been saying the death toll from that earthquake just in the last couple of hours has doubled up to 632. So clearly people worried that that number is going to grow significantly again.